Lil' homie, let's go. Lil' homie, let's go. Lil' homie, let's go. Lil' homie, let's go. Hey. Lil' homie, let's go. Lil' homie, let's go. Oh shit. Lil' homie, let's go. She like how I rap and she like how I do with the flow. Lil' homie, let's go. I'm never no bigger, but all of my thoughts be on dough. Lil' homie, let's go.
Welcome. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to present the ideas and dreams of Dobbins students. I am Zanesha, the host of the Dobbins podcast and Mr. Taylor's digital media class. This project is a class effort. I want to thank all my fellow students for the help and input despite the constraints of COVID learning. We also want to give a big shout out to Mr. Taylor for his desire to consistently push us to extend ourselves and hopefully accomplish more than we even realize. Our team is made up of hosts, producers, marketing, and analytics. On our agenda, we have research, product design, marketing strategy, business model, initial results, feature shows, and our next steps. Our objective was to create a platform where the silent majority could be heard and their opinions noted. The platform will uplift both student voices and Dobbins brand, and in completing this process, we will have gained much needed business knowledge. Our first step in our research process was to look at the podcasts from other high schools and create a benchmarking study to identify their best practices. We found the benchmarking exercise very useful as we used it to inform our primary research. Key takeaways and their implications are summarized on this slide. Taking our insights from benchmarking study, we designed surveys to estimate demand and get a better understanding of user needs. We worked very hard to survey distribution and were quite pleased with over 33 respondents. We first wanted to estimate the need and demand of our podcast. As you can see, over 72% of the respondents will listen. We also wanted to know the listener preference in terms of podcast length. As you can see, about 50% of the respondents preferred local podcasts 10 minutes or less in length. Another question we asked regarded the podcast topics. The survey provided a long list of possible topics. We chose to initially focus on those topics which appeared at least 50% of the surveys. We listed these on the slide. Many podcasts have guests that come on and discuss their views. The survey provided respondents with a list of possible guests. Again, we chose to focus on guest types which appeared on at least 50% of the surveys. These are shown on this slide. By the way, we have already recorded a podcast with both a celebrity filmmaker and a college student. Given our objective and the need to support the Dobbins community, especially because of the remote learning, our pilot focused on the Dobbins community, reaching out to high school students, alumni, families, and community members. Our initial expansion will probably be to another Philadelphia high school community. In designing our product, we developed a set of guidelines to follow. Many of these were based on our research and discussion. I want to emphasize that an overriding goal is that the students are responsible for the podcast. We do the writing, producing, and hosting. We would like to keep podcasts less than 10 minutes and also focus on issues based on our research. Though, as I have previously stated, our main goal is to give urban high school students the opportunity to be heard. We also wanted to structure our podcast so we can reach and support all members of the Dobbins community. We also would like to improve student learning through doing this in class. The initial focus of our pilot is to build market share within the Dobbins community. We think we are slowly succeeding. In the future, we will hope to sustain the podcast using the following strategies. Today's strategies is to convince potential investors to support us. We will continue to seek funding from investors in the future. We also plan to generate an advertising revenue stream. We will do this using social media platforms, YouTube, and TikTok. Some of the live shows we have now are The Voices of Dobbins, Life in 2020 to 2021, the anime podcast, and the anime podcast. On the right, we have one of our Voices of Dobbins podcasts featuring our filmmaker / celebrity, Mr. Tony Chanel. Welcome back to Voices of Dobbins podcast. I am your host, Zanesha Graham, and today I have one of my co-hosts, special guest, Mr. Tony Chanel. And today we'll be interviewing him because he's a returning teacher just to check up on his students, and I would love to ask him some questions about how his life is going now that he is living in California and doing so much better than he was. So, Mr. Chanel, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, that would be great.
How you guys doing? My name is Tony Chanel, filmmaker. Live in Los Angeles, California. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah. So I'm gonna just go ahead and kind of like jump right into it. So how do you feel? Like, how did you feel when you first got that call, like opportunity to like? How did you feel?
I was first I was shocked. I was appreciative, but at the same time I was kind of torn because I had to make a really tough decision. I was really teaching a group of talented high school teachers. A group of talented high school students at Dobbins High School, and I was kind of in a dilemma in my life where I could continue teaching these students or I could follow my dream. And I thought it was important that I showed these students, with me making that decision to move to Los Angeles, that you're never too old to follow your dreams, and you only get so many opportunities and moments in life, and those are the moments and opportunities you really have to take advantage of. So, hopefully they learned that from my situation.
Yeah, I love to hear that. That's one of the biggest quotes that I go by: follow your heart, follow your dreams. So I guess next I'm gonna ask you is like, how did it feel when you got there? Like, did you like it? Was it what you expected? Or was it like, I'm just happy to be here? Coming soon, we have our cosmetology podcast, performing arts club, media platform, and video podcast. Since it is good business practice to develop metrics to track reach, we started charting our number of listeners in November. As the chart shows, it appears our reach is growing very rapidly. The chart shows a monthly compound growth rate of 28%. For our next steps, we need funding in the following categories: production costs, equipment, and marketing. Thank you for the opportunity to present and participate in this program. Our work in this program has adjusted our view for what is possible. I think we were always willing, but many of us did not understand how. This program has provided that. We will take any questions now.